Afternoon, I'm going to call the meeting for Harwich Select Board for Monday, July 28th to order. Accept a motion to go into executive session.
Executive session A pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for all town unions and non-union personnel and/or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And the chair has determined that open session would have a detrimental effect on the town's bargaining position. B, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town, 62 Route 28. And C, pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, acting town administrator.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Before I take the vote, I will note that we will be back in public session again, but not before 7 p.m. So with that, Anita? Vote.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I'm an aye, so it's 4-0-1. The Select Board meeting for Monday, July 28th, 2025, back to order again. Previously, we had been in executive session, discuss a number of matters, none of which have gotten to the point where we can get beyond the reason for the executive session being called, and so there's nothing to report out. I ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, turn to any staff comments and announcements.
We do have an announcement for the Pine Oaks for 40B. Previous monthly meetings were held at the 204 Sisson Road building in the auditorium. Due to the no air conditioning fact over there, some of the sound quality had gone down, and it's quite loud with the fans in there. So we have relocated the Pine Oaks for 40B monthly meetings to the community center in the multi-purpose room. So the next one is next week on the 6th at 6:30 p.m. And that's again at the community center at 100 Oak Street. And we will be having those monthly meetings there rather than the 204 for the foreseeable future.
Also, Mr. Chair, this time next week, on Monday, August 4th, we will have the Town of Harwich Annual Non-Resident Taxpayer Meeting. It will be here at 6 p.m. So we look forward to seeing people who are non-resident taxpayers here. We're going to have a lot of department heads here to answer any questions, so please spread the word.
I might also point out, because we've done these before, and they're actually pretty illustrative, for people, even people who do live here, but it's an opportunity particularly for non-residents to be able to speak and have their voice heard and understand better how the town works. But we will have key staff here too to answer questions. So it's a really excellent time if you've got any questions about how your government works or how the services are delivered. So encourage everyone to show up.
Before you jump off of that, are we doing anything to promote it, other than you fine gentlemen?
We're having him carry a sign up and down Route 28.
It's been on social media, Old Timers, Harwich. Mr. Handler has kindly put it on Instagram. There are flyers up throughout town. I believe we have an ad coming out in this week's Chronicle. So I think we've covered, anything else additional that we have coming?
Maybe run a banner on the Harwich channel?
Well, we could do that, but also, and I think the social media stuff is just wonderful. Glad I don't use it, but I often see, I think usually for the town elections or whatnot, the street signs, the illuminated signs with the messaging.
I can do that. I can get those out.
That would be great.
Message boards.
Megan, I'm happy to have one put at the 397 Main Street, the old Hamlet property,
Okay.
if you'd like.
Will do. Thank
Anything to help out Mark.
It's not Mark's show.
So probably at the bottom of Oak and where Station 2 is in East Harwich. Okay,
All set.
all righty.
Can I do one?
Sure.
Thank you. Carolyn Carey, Community Center Director, and I just wanted to remind everyone that the community yard sale is scheduled for Friday, August 1st, and we are closely watching the weather. It is a rain or shine event. If we rain, we move indoors, to be determined where, but, you know, if you have some space or you know somebody and can have the weather hold off, please let us know. But we will be announcing on Wednesday whether we're inside or outside on all those places you just mentioned. So thank you very much. We hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Any other staff comments or announcements? Okay. We're going to the weekly briefing then.
Okay, we have a weekly briefing for the Phase 3 sewer extension update. This unfortunately didn't make it into your packet. It was just given to us this afternoon. It will go on the website. This is the 2-week look ahead for July 28th through August 8th. Contract 1E will continue work on Route 39, Bay Road, and Old Carriage Drive. They'll be doing some temporary paving over the areas that have been opened up. Contract 2W, they're going to continue on Standish Woods Circle. And then after August 8th, they will be moving on to Old Carriage Drive. So they're making progress with the Phase 3 sewer extension. Other sewer updates, the extension for the SRF funding for Great Sand Lakes was applied for, and we have put ourselves back on the list for IUP for 2026. So we're back in the application period for 2026. That was submitted just last week by GHD. Let's see, capital outlay meeting next Friday in the morning. If anyone is interested in attending, we'll be meeting at 10 a.m. on Friday to start up with capital outlay. They'll be doing a site visit ahead of that at the elementary school.
And if I could interrupt you just for a second, you make the point to them that we're still looking forward to a meeting with them and Finance Committee and us to map out how this trajectory for town meeting works sometime in the third week of August.
I think that we've scheduled it for sometime in August, the joint meeting. It'll
Just
be-
want to remind them, because this is something new. We're all going to work together.
Yes, yep, so this is just the beginning of the capital outlay meetings. And the Brooks Academy Museum RFP for design services is due for proposals on August 20th. So nothing new to report there, just waiting for proposals to come in. And then the status of the legal services request for proposals, that is just about done, ready for you to see a final draft of it next week. There is a draft of another towns in the Dropbox that I provided a couple of weeks ago. If there's anything in that you don't like, let me know and I'll take it out of the draft that I'm doing. One part of the legal services proposals that I've seen in other towns is some towns request to have legal services present once a month for drop-in type services. I know KP did that at one point in the past. I don't know if this board would like to include that as a request for proposals for the town council to schedule a half day a month for department heads to ask general questions, or have the select board ask general questions on a set day of the month. I have presently excluded it from the RFP, but if you'd like me to include it, I can.
There are two things that I'd like to bring up relative to that. First of all, I'm pretty sure you're doing the first one, but first of all, to be really clear, I'd like to see it come out as Labor Council as one type of service, regulatory as another type of service, and general legal advice as a third, with us having the option that we could award any and all of them separately or in the aggregate, depending on what we felt was in the best interest of the town. That's number one. Number two, and this is just something I'm floating, it's happened in other towns, they have the possibility of a monthly retainer payment where for that amount of money on some of these contracts, you can query them, and if they don't feel like it's something they need to get deeply involved with, you just say, go ahead and do what you want to. That's covered under the lump sum retainer. It's not as if it gets a billable hour, starting at the first phone call.
Okay.
So I think we could discuss that more deeply, but it gives us a lot more flexibility about where we might want to go. We may wind up where we are. I mean, that's a possibility too, but we haven't actually checked on that in almost a decade, so it's probably important for us to see what's available.
And then the last question that I believe I know the answer to is a required interview with the board after we've received their proposal in order for you to get to know the legal firms instead of just reviewing in their written documents. I feel an interview, an in-person interview would be warranted.
Agreed.
Excellent idea. If we could roll back just a little bit, is there any chance, recognizing how stretched everybody is, but is there any chance of at least beginning generically on a construction contract for Brooks Academy that leaves open the actual design specs that we're going to be getting from the architect? But we still have to nonetheless take that as a finished product, put that out and get a construction contract.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any chance at least beginning the work?
So the RFP right now for the design services is to
No, for the construction part.
It is to develop construction documents off of the plan that they provide. So the designer will give us design plans as well as the specs for construction to go out to bid, and they will be contracted to do the bidding phase of the,
All the 30B stuff will be
all
done?
the 30B stuff we're giving to this new firm we're gonna hire
Okay,
for this project.
I'm just trying to cajole this thing along because I'm pretty sure the country isn't going to delay its 250th birthday because we're not ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Any other?
What year is that?
We're going to have to send you some study literature. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Select Board meeting minutes from July 21st, 2025.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
did we skip public comment? I see Patrick here.
Oh, sorry.
We didn't.
It was you and the mouse in your pocket. But
No, he just started reading something.
I just want to make sure if Patrick's here for public comment.
You have to commend his eagerness.
I do want to hear you.
Okay, we are now at the public comment and announcement section, which will be concluded with a motion.
Patrick, you got to get up and speak now. I made the whole just say something, please.
I'm feeling very nervous, but I hope you're all enjoying the fabulous summer we're having. Unfortunately, our ponds are under attack with cyanobacteria blooms. It's phenomenal, the number of ponds that are infected. I attended from DCR another lecture, another avenue of pollution and problems for our ponds of invasive species. This little booklet from DCR lists 16 invasive species. And how do they get there? Via transport from boats. Okay? So all boat ramps should have, there's a big metal sign, 3 feet by 2 feet. I gave one to Amy, and hasn't been put up yet. But it's a federal law and a state law. If you're transporting between ponds or ramps, you must clean your boat. 140-degree water, chlorine and bleach, Lysol, vinegar, or letting it freeze for 24 hours. You must do this. So it's a federal law and a state law. These should all be posted at our boat ramps. okay? I don't know who's in charge of boat ramps. I know that Harbor Master sells 200 boat ramp stickers. All those stickers should be accompanied with one of these so boaters understand their obligation to keep our water clean. Also, I was asking Rec Department that as they're patrolling the entry to our public beaches from 9:30 to 4, if people are coming in with boats to launch, can they be handed one of these and reminded that you need to clean your boat? All right. And this is only freshwater, so I didn't get into saltwater and problems with that, okay? So I'm asking for your assistance to move forward with, I don't know whether it's COMCOM, I don't know if it's Rec, Harbor Master, Natural Resources, to get these signs up on all our boat ramps and start handing these out to anybody using the boat ramps, okay? Yeah.
Can you leave that with us?
Yeah, these are all free from DCR. The big metal signs, you can have 100 of them if you want. But
As long as we have that information, we can talk about it.
also, for beaches, I'm with Cape Cod Community Rowing, so I'm at Long Pond Beach 4 days a week. And persistently, there are fires, large burned open fires of pallets and logs and whatnot. There are no signage saying fires under permit only, fires only in contained vessels, right? So there's been no action with putting up signs about fires as well as smoking on the beach. So I'm asking that that also be noted for all our public access beaches where fires are occurring. You know, I get up there in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's burnt pallets, there's broken glass, there's nails from all those burnt pallets. I'm walking around with my bare feet. It's a danger, it's a hazard. What happens if there is a fire? The police come and tell the people you can't have fires. The police call a fire department to come put the fire out. And then the fire department calls the DPW to clean up the mess. A lot of expense for someone out there enjoying a nice bonfire in the evening, right? So I'm asking whether or not you can get the signs posted at our beaches to make it very clear that unless you have a permit, you can't just be burning on the beaches. Okay, that was quick and easy. I'm glad you made a moment for me, so thank you, okay?
We had you covered, despite what Mark wanted to do. Hello there.
Hi, Lynn Zalazak, Harwich Center. Mr. Petarsky, to answer your question, it is in here. This just came out yesterday. This is a book that was put together by basically the Cape Cod Genealogical Society and research from local historians on the history of the Cape and Islands during the American Revolution. I am donating this copy to you guys at the board, so you have it for reference. And one of the reasons I am doing that is because I have 2 articles in here, 2 chapters, and Duncan Berry has 1 chapter as well. I have tagged the pages for them. Duncan's is on the Baptist Whigs of West Harwich. My shorter one is on Captain George Webb, who is our only Society of the Cincinnati member, one of George Washington's main officers. Quite a history, and there's even more that I discovered after I wrote this that I can tell you about at some other time if you wish. And then the big one. This one is a history of Harwich, basically from approximately 1750 through the American Revolution ending in 1783. And I have to thank Emily and Jennifer for putting up with me in their office while I was going through the Book 2 volumes and Book 1 volume to get the information. But basically, it details what happened in Harwich, what actions we took in Harwich, why we took some of those actions from what is in the town meeting reports. Also, there's some other research that I did outside of that, the Provincial Congress, the Constitutional Convention, the Continental Congress, whatever they wanted. So this is for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And indeed, Harwich has a vast and rich history that actually dovetails with the country's.
Yes, well, and, shouldn't walk away.
You're not going to let Bobby talk, are you?
There are a couple of interesting things in there. For example, Harwich actually declared independence before the rest of the country.
Was that before or after we wanted to become the state of Cape Cod?
I think a little bit, well, I'm not sure about that. And also, one of the more fascinating things to me is, in accordance with the rules that have been, or laws that have been passed by the Second Continental Congress, every house in the Provincial Congress, every house had to be armed. Every male had to have a weapon. And if you did not have a weapon, you could basically rent one from the town. It details how many guns, how much shot, how much black powder was to be bought and stored in the powder house, and you could rent or lease the gun, and you had to return it after the war, and if it was damaged, you had to pay to have it repaired. So, and also the final update on the number of soldiers we had. We've refined the number. I'm working with Robin Kelly on this. Is 418 out of a population of approximately 2,400 and 1,790. So subtract some of that. So we were very heavily involved in that. I think that's it.
Thank you, Lynn. Now you're up, but you got to be wondering where she put the gun that she was leasing.
Bobby Parr, her lesser half. So I just wanted to, again, thank the town for all the work they did to get Brooks Academy ready to have the first floor open, and to remind the town, I'm sure all of the select board are aware, but Brooks Academy is open Tuesdays and Fridays from 1 to 4, and also more often than that, Paul Phillips, our master carver at the Elmer Crow barn, is quite often there. If the flag is up, open, barn doors are open, you're welcome to stop in there anytime. But we'd love to have you come see the Cranberry exhibit, the schoolhouse exhibit, the Revolutionary War exhibit, and the bookstore is open too, so come on down. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. You're on.
There you go. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Select Board meeting minutes from July 21st, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written. Any further comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right. We had been musing over this, and it started with the finance director. I'm not sure that I expect on any of the next few items a conclusion, as much as we need to have a discussion about where we want to go. So you've got some various samples Megan had scared up, so I'll turn it over to you
Sure.
for the work policy.
I had asked Angelique, our HR generalist, to canvass some other towns to see what they use for remote work policy. I had seen the town of Eastham's back after COVID had kind of forced us into remote work policies, and I thought that theirs was short and sweet enough to understand, not overly complicated, so I had her include that in her submittal. Nantucket was just, not every town has a remote work policy, so trying to find some that have good information was difficult. Nantucket is obviously a bit different because they're an island, and commuting and working remote is sometimes a necessity just because of where you're located. So their policy is more in-depth. And then there's one from the Collins Center that they wrote for the town of Bourne, which I think is probably the most generic of them all. And I thought it was thorough but generic, something to take information from if our town wants to develop a policy. I would start with looking at Eastham and Bourne as far as what you like and what you don't like, and if you want to have a town-wide policy, or if you want to incorporate it just into the personnel bylaws, or if this is a department head type of policy that you would want, rather than, there's a lot of positions that just can't work remotely. You can't exactly be a remote firefighter. So there's lots of things to talk about. And should this just be for executive managers? It's really up to you.
The one thing I will note on Eastham's, I'd like something that is much more specific about who has the right. Does the employee have the right to take it, or does the management have the right to grant it? In one very explicit statement somewhere. And I guess what I'm looking for, we can have a discussion about this tonight. If there's other things that you were looking to see, and that we could get them for you. But it may be worth our while with these two to start sending in what you would agree to and what you wouldn't agree to, so that we can start compiling something that the whole board owns.
And something that I thought was nice in Eastham's is the guidelines, where it's the department head who makes the determination. It's not an automatic thing. So that would be.
I'm thinking its usefulness to us, though, it will transcend a department head, because we were also having a discussion about even a finance director. So it probably needs to be examined with regard to how we operate, because we're not just presuming it's going to be people who are working in an office setting. Jeff?
I was going to say exactly that, Mr. Chair. You hit the nail on the head. I think in Bourne's, there's a little from each one that I like, and I'll just put it on record what my thoughts are. To your initial point, remote working is a privilege rather than a universal employee benefit or right. The town has a right to offer remote work to an employee and to unilaterally terminate a remote work agreement at any time. I think that's a really good, strong, clear statement. As I was putting this in the context of the finance director, who's a direct report of ours, again, you hit the nail on the head, Mr. Chair, with, is it a department head, is it the TA, is it the select board? I think it all has to do with, who's the.
Lines of authority.
Lines of authority. I like Eastham puts a cap on it of 40%. I think that's a really good position to take as the employer. I think we need to move in this direction. I support moving in this direction, but as you put it, there's a lot to be fleshed out here, so that we don't have to keep reinventing it every time we get another question about remote work. And I also would say that and this is how I read the three, is as the hiring entity of the town with respect to the finance director. It's not something we can promise. It's something that we can state that we have a remote work policy. One of the applicants was really, it was real important to that employee to have remote work. And it's, the way I read all this, and we might want to clear up some of the languages, to your point, Mr. Chair, so that it reads for Harwich and not Eastham, Bourne, or Nantucket. If it's not something we can offer as a part of the job, but more, it's a policy that the town has at its disposal. So those are my thoughts.
Thanks. Before I go to anyone else, I do have a question for Megan. With regard to any of these policies, did they indicate to you like how far down they went, and if that was the case throughout the workforce, whether they were bargainable as part of the union agreements, or were they just freestanding policies?
So I do know that they are bargainable throughout the unions. And I know that one specifically excludes public safety and public works. So all the other units are eligible for it. But they do have specific eligibility. So you must be able to perform your job remotely. And a lot of jobs require a public interface here at Town Hall or at an office setting. So there are quite a few positions that wouldn't be able to do remote work. And that's one of the reasons why it's a bargainable item.
I read them all. I liked Eastham. It was short, to the point. You have the manager's buy-in. And I think it's important for us in today's day and age to have a policy like this available to especially future executive hires.
I did read Eastham's as well. The thing that kind of stuck out to me the most is I like the fact that they have to sign an agreement. I really like that, that the, the agreement can be signed by the administration, by the employer. That way they know exactly what they're required with the agreement.
I wasn't exactly sure where we were going with this tonight. I did read them. I like bits and pieces from each of them. Ironically, I agree with Megan that the one from Bourne is the most generic, yet it's the longest, 46 pages. And they probably paid a handsome sum to get that generic document. But nonetheless, there are pieces that we could, utilize along with some of the others and craft our own. But happy to submit some recommendations over the next few days, weeks, to try to craft one that kind of defines Harwich's stance.
And I have an ask, so that we could provide the board with any ancillary language from these towns that got them to implement this. In other words, if it did require a contract change, then what did that look like? Who did they negotiate with, and how did they get to that? It's because obviously these can't operate in a vacuum then if once you start getting into bargainable union units.
Okay.
You probably don't have any of these in Word, right? Just,
I'm sure we can get them in Word. We can transcribe them into Word or PDF it.
Okay, and then just send them out to everybody.
Yeah, convert it, that's the word.
Okay, I think that's as far as we're gonna be able to get, but we all have a general agreement, we wanna have some sort of policy that and that's why it was on. Yeah, sure.
Mr. Chair, I move that we vote to appoint the recommendation from Recreation and Youth Commission of Phyllis Thomason to the Community Center Facilities Committee, term to expire June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Now, the only question I have is, there anybody, because this was a changeover year, the interview committee is wholly new as a permanent committee in terms of who's on it. Anybody interview?
I believe this came from the Rec and Youth.
I get that, but you still have the same authority to recommend or not recommend and ask them for a different selection if something objects to you. I have no problem voting on you, but just for the future.
This is the first I'm seeing of it, Mr. Chair, so if
That's what I'm trying to do, is have your back here, so that you understand that you could have that shot. In general, the charter still conveys to the select board the authority to select a specific person to confirm them. So they can recommend somebody and that's how the CPC was set up. They can recommend somebody, but in order for that to happen, we have to actually confirm them because they can't just send them.
And I'm happy to take Vaughn and Dave Nixon's.
And I am too, for tonight. I'm just saying in the future, you might want to be able to schedule appointments so that you can confirm that you agree with their selection and we can vote on it. But we have a motion.
And a second.
And a second, so, Pete.
my only other comment along similar lines, not exact same lines, but this is to expire June 30, 2028. Do we know when Ms. Thomason's term on the Rec and Youth?
Yes, that has been an 8-year conversation I have had, because on these ex officio appointments, they really can only be made to the extent you have the underlying appointment. So if you're coming from the ABC committee to this CPC, you have to have a term that has that many years left in order to make that. I am not certain. You may want to make the motion that the term will expire at the expiration of their term in the Recreation and Youth Commission, or on June 30th, 2028, whichever is later.
I think that's what he said, Mr. Chair.
I would at least recommend that because that gets you past that discussion, but you're right, that is a flaw in the current charter, and I haven't been able to reconcile it.
My only concern, and we don't need to hold this up, my only concern about the motion of the term expires at the end of her term means it alters the placement of members on that committee.
Well, there's another secret you've just exposed. There is no, every other committee is set up so that they are on staggered terms. These are not,
What are not?
the CPC appointments.
We're not
This isn't
talking about
CPC.
CPC here, though.
Yeah.
Oh, the
So
community,
this is youth-
okay.
This is a youth and rec.
Either way, it's still an ex officio appointment. And so you still have to have the residual underappointment in order to be able to do it.
I would agree with that piece. My only point
Have
of
we ever,
saying,
Carolyn's here, have we ever, to your knowledge, insisted on staggered terms, or were they just? Yeah,
The representatives from the different committees have never had staggered terms. They
That's what I
serve
thought.
as long as they're on those committees, both the Council on Aging and Youth and Recreation. The staggered terms are the other three members that are, one is an appointment from the Board of the Select Board, and the other two are just interviewed by the committee. So those are staggered terms, but the two representatives from each side of the building have always served the length of their term in that committee.
okay.
we're not going to fix that tonight, but it might be something you folks in the interview committee might want to look into for a recommendation to the board about how some of that might work in the future. Because it's, I made the mistake because the CPC is the same deal, though. I mean, so there's at least a couple of these out there that aren't tethered to the charter and to the insistence that everything be, staggered.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just so we close the loop on this. If something like this were to come to an agenda prep in the future, instead of having it reach the agenda, it should probably be referred to the interview committee and give the interview committee a chance. Does that?
I'd only agree, but as you know, there's, some of this stuff is pre-baked when you walk in, so
No,
I hadn't thought about it at the time,
Yep, no problem.
but we will. I don't expect it to be a frequent occurrence, however.
No, probably not.
Okay, so are we at the point where we want to confirm this person? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right. This is another one, not to scare everybody. I wasn't expecting to populate it, but we need to nail down, because we had a discussion, we came pretty close to nailing down. When we get to the point where there's a screening committee, which they have themselves, White and Grew and White, had talked about the duties, the charge for it. So we'd be populating it, but they also made some recommendations about how they thought we might want to approach it. I think where we left off, and I'm just going to throw it out there, but this is totally up to the board, is that there would be one choice from each of us, at least that's where the discussion was, we didn't vote. B, that we would go as far as 7 members, so that there'd be 2 that would be general members, and that we would wind up picking the chair ourselves, as assigning that, and the screening committee then would be picked up. But as Megan has pointed out to us, they are not at the point where they're giving us anybody yet or have a charge, so we have some time to discuss what this thing looks like. But again, that's where we left off. Anybody wants to change that direction, now's a good time. Otherwise, we should probably vote that generically we're going to fill out a committee that has number of people, of which each one of us gets a single designee or whatever, but we haven't voted on anything. And eventually, we're going to need one. So I'll throw it open to the floor.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
So I think I stated that my preference would be 5, however, willing to have a discussion about 7. My question would be if we increase beyond 5, meaning 1 per member, how do the next two become nominated and/or voted on?
Unless we're going to make this really cumbersome, it would probably have to be a majority vote of the board for the other two. That would be general appointment.
Right, so I'm saying everybody gets to throw another name in the hat, and then we take a general vote?
That's an excellent question that I have no answer for.
All the way down here. So if we were to choose five, I'm assuming that would be five members of the public, but then we had also talked about potentially having two staff members from the town of Harwich be part of it. That might be what. this
Or
board-
some combination. As I recall, it could be an employee, or it could be somebody amongst the citizenry that we thought would represent some unique viewpoint. At least that was brought up when Mr. White was here. I have no preference either. I mean, but we got to come to some voted conclusion here.
And again, just to respond to Mr. Handler, either way, I'm fine, I just want to know how we get there. That's all.
No, that's an excellent question, because then you're creating an imbalance. So we're no longer at the one each.
Yeah. I'm just looking for a.
Mr.
good
Waystack, are we pitching for a sixth person?
Richard Waystack, Harwich. You have a process with a citizens activity form. You have an interview committee. You already have a system in place that you could utilize. If people are interested in serving, whether it be a staff person, whether it be a citizen, if you reach a point when you're looking for two more, use that same process that's already in place. Have someone fill out an activity form, see if they are interested. Your interview committee interviews, and then brings it back to the board for recommendation.
Okay, so it would be bifurcated. We each pick one, and then we go for the final two in this scenario by picking for the citizen activity form, correct? A nod? Okay.
That sounds great to me.
Good, but I'm still hashing this out so that the whole board agrees on the process. There's no point in even bringing up names until we know what we're trying to populate. Hello, Megan.
Hello, could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If you decide to award a contract tonight to Grew White, I would suggest that you meet with him and find out what his process is and how he's worked this out in other communities. And he can give you the pluses and minuses of how you're working this out right now. He did get back to me after I had asked a question of when would he be able to start if given a contract, and he said he could start as early as this week or next week and be able to be in front of you to hash out the process as early as next week. So if you don't decide something tonight, he would be able to guide you.
Although there was one question, just so the whole board and the public hears this, when they had one candidate, he was wondering whether he wanted to send that forward. At least from my perspective, and I'm hoping everybody else feels the same way, we're not looking for the fastest candidate, we're looking for the best candidate. So it's not that we're trying to accelerate the process. So the first couple of people will be the ones that we're going to be looking at, just so he understands that we're really looking for a thorough search.
Yes, correct. To give you background, Mr. White had received an application for this open position, asking if he should send it to HR or keep it. And that was because he doesn't have a contract to do the work yet. And we said, keep it, and we'll find out on Monday if you have a contract or not.
Okay, well, that's why I brought it up. So they are intertwined. On the other hand, I will say that we're going to populate it in a manner that we want to populate it, even given, his advice, because this has happened before for us too. I suspect, the community leader discussion is one that he utilized the last time, but I'm not too sure that would be pertinent, except for the two extra candidates, if we go to 7 rather than 5. So, again, how far tonight do we want to get?
I would agree with
I'm
Megan.
trying to get us all on the same bus here, so that we can go to the same destination.
I would agree with Megan. Let's utilize our consultant at least to organize us. I mean, I have some candidates that I already have, but.
Which
think
I
we
haven't
should-
done any for because of, it was premature.
Right. But I think we should use our consultant. I mean, he's getting paid a good fee, and I think we should look for his guidance.
Including the size of the committee?
5 or 7, I think either way is fine with me. I mean, 5 or 7 is good. I do think we need one town employee, and then, so that would probably maybe bump us up to 7, but
Jeff?
I don't see a significant difference between 5 and 7, so I'm a fan of 7. It brings 2 employees in.
Anita?
Okay, all right, then I'll go
Well,
along with that.
comment is okay. You don't have to agree.
No, no comment.
Pete?
Oh, I said, my preference is 5.
Okay.
But again, I have no problem talking to Mr. White either. It can be his thoughts, it doesn't mean we act on his thoughts or his opinions.
For something like this, I mean, I could talk to him, but for something like this, I think it's important that we all, in
agreed.
real time, have him in front of us to have a discussion, so we may want to invite him as a future agenda item, but not too future. Now, before we go anywhere past the Gruen-White situation, in the scenario where that you talked about in your email today about going out to try to find search firms for a finance director, did you wheel past them also?
I did. I sent a request for proposals out for the finance director search to Grew White and 3 other firms that I sent the TA search out to. But I also contacted several smaller, or maybe they're bigger, firms for private sector, kind of recruiters or
Headhunters.
headhunters. I've gotten a couple of phone calls back, but nothing concrete as far as a price proposal. But I did send you all the finance director's recruitment flyer from the last time it went around. So at some point, we'll need to talk about updating that so we can start recruiting again.
We got to bring that back next week, because I'm sure that there's some sentiment on the board, which I share, that arguably the finance director is an even bigger key than the town administrator is, given where we're at.
Okay, we can add it for next week.
Is that okay with everybody then?
Yeah, if I could, and I know it's not quite the agenda, but did you not get a response to your inquiries?
I got
Just not yet.
one response saying they would not be providing a proposal. So it did go out. I haven't gotten any proposals yet.
Gotcha, okay. Just one response telling you, all set, okay, thank you.
And it was sent out last Tuesday afternoon, so it's been almost a week.
Thank you.
Okay. Pending for an agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the 2025 Community Preservation Act agreement with Lower Cape Housing Institute project doing business as Community Development Partnership in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the CPC contract with the Lower Cape Housing Institute in the amount of $10,000. Any further comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I move that we discuss and have a possible vote to award a contract to Grew White.
If you're going to, you either make a motion to have a discussion, or that you would move to award the contract. You don't need to have a possible vote.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move we have a discussion about awarding the contract to Grew White for executive recruitment services in the amount of $12,450.
Okay. So,
Oh, second. I'll second that motion.
I'm not sure you need that as much, entirely as a motion. It's kind of like suspenders and belts. We're going to have a discussion.
Okay, I thought it was a motion.
Is there anything holding us back on Grew White, or is there more that we want to know about them, so that if we call them in next week, we can have a discussion about everything all at once?
Well, the only question, Mr. Chair, thank you for asking. The only question I have is, what changed from last week to right now with respect to what this board was looking for? And I think we were talking about having a discussion on salary range. That hasn't happened yet. So I'm just wondering if we kicked it down the road last week, pending further information, what information did we get this week so that we could have this conversation?
We didn't, and that's the point, because, as you heard Megan say, we're stopped right where we're at, because he can't go any further without an award of his contract. So there isn't any further discussions we can have with him, other than awarding the contract so we can enter into that discussion about what other ancillary things he would like from us, like the salary range or whatever. Right now, he's got a proposal in front of us.
I think one member last week was concerned that the clock would begin as soon as we started, as soon as we
Which
entered into the
which I'm
contract.
about ready to get to.
So, yeah, I'd like to hear from the member who had that concern, because I don't think anything's changed, or maybe something has and I missed it.
No, I'm 100% with you. Nothing's changed in my mind. I think, and as much as we want to rely on our consultant, I think we need to, as a collective group, make some decisions that we then present to that individual. And then that individual can tell us if we're way
Contractor, you
off
mean.
base.
Contractor, you mean? As an individual meaning?
The consultant.
The consultant.
Yeah, the consultant. So, I don't think we want to sit here with the consultant trying to debate on where we stand as a collective group of five on a salary. So why wouldn't we just come to a conclusion as a group, and if we're way off base, the consultant's going to say, you're way off base.
Yeah.
Then we can come back and make an adjustment. I think, we all have a pretty good understanding of where things need to fall, and it can go deeper than that. Again, he's not going to tell us if we want prior experience or not. That's up to us to decide. He's not going to tell us if we want someone that has been exposed to wastewater projects before. That's up to us. He's not going to tell us if the candidate should have experience with a housing trust. That's all the stuff that belongs to us. That, yeah, we can have a conversation with him, but he doesn't make the decision, and his opinion's going to be all over the place. He's going to tell us, it's really up to you folks what you're looking for in that candidate. And so those are the things I think we want to hash out as a group before we sit down with Mr. White. I'm not saying we can't enter into an agreement, but I don't want Mr. White to expect us to meet next week and have these answers for him when we haven't discussed it as a collective group.
Okay, let me flip the script on you here then.
Flip it.
Because it sounds like you already have a homework assignment for us. Sounds to me like we need a punch list of some sort of the things that we do want him to do, and each of us should probably contribute to that, so we can have that discussion on the next agenda. So salary's just one of them.
Right. People may have 4 or 5 other ideas. Those are just things that came top of mind to me.
Okay. I didn't presuppose we were going to award anything. I just wanted to make sure that we were moving this thing along and people remembered we still have him out there. How long has this been good for?
30 days.
And how long is it now?
This is week 3.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yeah.
I didn't get the feeling that Mr. White was going to start a clock if we award the contract. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Mr. Piekarski's saying down there, is we got to get ourselves in order. I'd like to hear what the board has to say about engaging this contract, signing this contract, and then next week or the following week, begin the process, as Pete was talking about, of creating our expectations prior to the consultant getting in front of us. That's where I'm concerned, is he's gonna get in front of us and we're not gonna we're gonna be doing this. That's what I don't want. I think it's unprofessional and not the best use of his time. But I don't believe that the contract will begin today and the clock starts ticking and we're gonna end up having to pay more money. I think we can, and I'd like to hear what administration has to say about this, if you feel whether or not we expose ourselves to a more financial commitment than what's in that $12,400.
No,
If you know what I'm asking.
If I may, through you, Mr. Chair, the contract will be for a year. So it will be $12,450 for a 12-month period. He's hoping to wrap it up sooner than that, obviously, but we would have the contract in place for a year. He is willing to start as early as this week, but if we're not ready for him to start, he can start when we're ready to tell him to start, but we have to start with a contract first.
The two things, and they both lead you to the same exact spot. If we don't award the contract, we have to go back to him to get a recommitment for how long that quote is good for. Otherwise, it's not a quote anymore.
Right.
And if we do award it, it has to be with the explicit understanding that we are at ground zero and we are now pondering what the package looks like, what the credentials look like, what the salary looks like. And we would like a quick discussion with him about that, and we will get back to him after we have decided ourselves what that looks like. But one of those two things has to happen.
I have no problem awarding this contract to Grew White. That's not why I asked to kick this thing down the road at all. I'm more than comfortable with what they provide to the town of Harwich. I don't want us, as a collective body, to sit here and say, we need to make a decision tonight. And I don't mean tonight. If it's scheduled next meeting or the meeting thereafter, if we're not in consensus, if we don't have agreement, I don't want us to sit here and say, well, we need to make a decision because Mr. White is waiting for an answer. That's what I don't want to happen.
I don't either, by the way.
So I'm fine with awarding a contract, with the understanding that when we're ready, with the decisions we need to make, then we start to move forward.
And that's kind of what I was saying, that's scenario two, that we'd have to tell them, okay, your quote's still good, we just awarded it, but here's what our expectation is. We are not asking you to do anything because we need to do certain actions first, and we will then invite you in when we're done with those.
And I'm 100% fine with that, provided the rest of the board is in agreement.
Mr. Chair, I move that we vote to award a contract to Grew White for executive recruitment services in the amount of $12,450.
Second.
And that would be with the clear understanding with them that we don't want them to commence activity, though, under that contract until we invite them in with at least the basis for what we're recruiting.
If you want that to be part of the motion, I'm fine with that.
It could be collateral.
I think
as
it's
long-
expressly, I think it's expressly,
I'm just saying to the public so that
Understood.
Megan can hear it too. When we get back to him, the expectation is he's not going to run and get here early on Monday night. So all this would be doing is locking him down so that we can have the second discussion. And then on the agenda next week, we'll start having a discussion about what it is that we actually think we want to extend and what qualifications we're looking to receive.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's next week because that's the non-resident, but
Oh, yeah, okay. That's either going to be 3 hours or 3 minutes.
correct, that's what I mean, so.
One or the other.
Don't mean to disparage you.
Don't worry.
It's hard when you start up something that hasn't been doing anything for a while. All right, well, it's been moved and seconded to make the award to Grew White for executive search. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I move we vote to award a contract to Ballard Mac Sales and Service, Inc. for a new Mack tractor in the amount of $193,731.
Second.
Second.
It's-
Okay, I was gonna lump them all together, but.
You could.
Is everyone all right with that on the board?
You want to withdraw your second so that we can shoot through these?
I withdraw my second.
I also move we vote to award a contract to Ballard Mac Sales and Service, Inc. for a new Mack sorry.
Easy for you to say.
I move that we vote to award a contract to Ballard Mac Sales and Service for a new Mack six-wheel dump truck in the amount of $281,654, as well as we vote to award a contract to Colonial Municipal Group for a new Ford Super Duty F-450 dump truck in the amount of $130,375.23, as well as we vote to award a contract to Colonial Municipal Group for a new Ford Super Duty F-350 service truck in the amount of $112,502.39.
Don't everybody rush to second. There's a motion that includes the award of 4 contracts. I will not reread them. Is there any discussion relative to any of this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
Mr. Whitman?
Oh, sorry.
No, and we can do it quick. I just was hoping Ms. Eldridge could read the request at town meeting the actual cost of all 4 vehicles and then the save, or
Excellent idea.
the reduced amount.
Sure, absolutely. So the first vehicle was Unit 34. And see, we were, let's see, I'm losing my place here. Article 15 of the annual town meeting approved $830,000 for 4 vehicles. And one vehicle was the Mack trailer, and we estimated a cost of $265,000, and the actual cost was just under $194,000. So there was a bit of a savings there. The next one was Unit 8, which out of this Article 15, we estimated it to cost $325,000, and it came in at $281,000 and change. And then the last 2 were about equal with their estimates, 120, and one came in at 130, and the other came in under at 112. So overall, the 4 vehicle replacement contract cost $718,263.62, and that means we came in at $111,736 under budget. So that was out of free cash, so we will have free cash remaining in that amount.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, so you heard the report. There's 4 contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Town Administrator's report.
Just a couple things, Mr. Chair. We have a memorandum of agreement with Cape Cod Commission, an MOA that we have extended for, this is for the housing production plan. We just had to extend it out another few months. And then we have 2 contracts with GEI Consultants. They're an engineering firm. The first contract is for work at Saquatucket Harbor for doing our engineering for the bulkhead. That is work that's on the capital plan. We have I think it's a $700,000 capital project for replacement of the bulkhead. And this engineer has done some work to look at it and believes we can do some repairs for a much less amount of money. This is just the engineering for that. And then the second one is for dredging for $49,900, also with GEI and also in Saquatucket Marina. This is to provide the town with a plan for dredging a portion of Saquatucket Harbor. They are having some issues with boats running aground in a corner, as well as the ramps that go up and down with the tide are hitting the bottom of the harbor, causing some damage. So those 2 contracts were executed, and that's all I have.
Okay. Select Board reports. Pete?
Can I just confirm, Megan, was that the MOA with the Commission for Hazard Mitigation?
There wasn't a memo with this one. I'd have to look back at what the rest of the document is for. I know I read it before I signed it, I can promise you that, but this doesn't say exactly what it's for. So I'll get the backup material for you next week, and I'm fairly certain it is for the hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah, just that's what I see in the table of contents, so
Yeah.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna bring this up, because we have many more important issues facing us as a board, as a town. But I complain about it all the time, so my wife told me to be quiet or say something. So, but I'm not good at being quiet.
Sounds like my house.
Right? I know I brought it up several months ago in a different context, but the number of signs on these roadways is insane. It's foolish is what it is. And I want to be clear that I'm not talking about homeowners who have signs on Queen Anne Road. I'm not talking about homeowners across town that have signs that are appropriate and/or deliberate, meaning they have a driveway being paved or something to that effect. I'm pro-business, but we have a lot of folks promoting their businesses on property that they don't own. And some of these signs, as I travel to and from work or across the towns, are in many communities, just plastered around. Again, I'm pro-business, but I don't know that we need to have Chatham Yoga or Brewster Yoga, Beach Yoga, displayed on our streets. I think, quite honestly, we put too many signs up as a community across our roadways. They eventually become, one, an eyesore, two, wallpaper, right? Nobody pays attention to it. I'm not looking for us to make some grandstand here, but I would love to see some type of enforcement to clean up the roadways and do away with some of these signs that are just essentially littering our streets. So there's my 2 cents. I said it. I can sleep better tonight. Thank you all.
And Chris will let you back in the house.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
I will say that you're not only right. I mean, we do have a sign code, and we have busted through a lot of that stuff, and it's been a while since we've had a real building commissioner whose job it was to just be here. What concerns me even most about this is the misuse of town property to advertise things, and that's been getting way out of hand.
And that's really what I'm stressing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough when you see people who are politically running who are endorsed by every fire hydrant and stop sign across the Cape, but this is even more than that. It's like, I'm waiting for somebody to get endorsed in front of Town Hall, where we're at. The transfer station, the fire, the municipal building, all these places are supposed to be sacred, and they're not supposed to have any, except for those charitable ones that we would designate that we were allowing. So I think we may want to have that discussion with what's going on with enforcement signs in general, because it's nice to rant, but it's probably better to come to a conclusion.
No, agreed.
I can do that.
Okay?
That's why I ranted.
I consider it to be a kind of civil discussion, but that's okay.
Excellent. That's all I had.
Anita?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Mark?
Just a question. The wastewater recharge areas, I haven't heard anything about that recently, if we could check on that. And also,
Dan's going to be coming in for a discussion. on
okay,
things.
good, and the wastewater treatment plant perhaps with Dennis. And I'd like to hear from Dan, just to get an update on where we are with everything.
He is scheduled to come next week on the 4th for the non-resident taxpayer meeting, so he'll be able to give some updates.
I have nothing.
Okay. I had something, but it was a fleeting memory.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.